Now let's look at who's involved in doing this. The lead prosecutor was the number 3 person that the Biden Justice Department. The judge's daughter is a political operative and raises money for Democrats. You've got the lead prosecutor's wife is a significant donor to Democrats, and I think to Biden. So this is just a bunch of Democrats saying, we want to make sure that Donald Trump can't talk. You know, they've got a gag order, so he can't go campaign. They've got him holed up in a courtroom. So Joe Biden can go campaign, but Donald Trump can't. This has to stop. Look, we know that President Biden can't win this election fair and square. He has nothing to run on. And we know President Trump has a record. He secured the border. He had a great economy. We weren't at war. So that's why this is happening. Joe Biden knows and Democrats know that he cannot win.
Meanwhile,
case in about falsified documents and the cover-up in Manhattan, and we don't know what the jury is going to do on that. We don't know if they're going to go so far and say, yes, he was trying to cover it up and he did these bad things. They may not get to all of those things. They may not come down on that. So it's very disconcerting because we witnessed all of these things. We saw him do it. We saw him hold the documents. We saw him. We heard him on the tape.
But there is hope, though.
Where?
At the end of the day, I mean.
All right, guys, so we got some more liberal tears. Yes, I know, more liberal tears. But I got to tell you guys, I'm addicted to liberal tears, okay? I love getting drunk off of liberal tears. I think that is healthier and honestly much more fun than getting drunk off of alcohol, okay? But I may have to check myself into rehab if I continue to drink all these liberal tears, okay? I've been binge drinking the liberal tears. I'm so serious, bruh. I'm so serious, okay? Because I just cannot get enough. I just cannot get enough of the liberal meltdowns that have been happening all week because now we know there's a good chance, okay? There's a good chance that Trump is going to go into the election with a not guilty verdict when it comes to the hush money trial, and his other trials that people actually care about are not going to happen, okay? And even if Trump is found guilty when it comes to the hush money trial, nobody's going to see it. Nobody cares, okay? And, you know, it's just not going to be that impactful, okay? It's just not going to be nearly as impactful as a guilty verdict would have been for the Jack Smith January 6th case and the Fani Willis case out in Fulton County, Georgia, right? And the mainstream liberal media knows this. This is why they're upset, right? They're upset that the only hope that they have of Trump getting some type of conviction is with an adult film actress, okay, who's proven to be unreliable with her mouth for the first time in her life, okay? So, again, if I was them, I definitely understand why they are upset, right? I understand why they are melting down over this, okay? And I'm just saying I'm here to react to all of it because I want it, right? Just give me all the liberal tears, okay? I want to keep filling up my racist mugs that you can get at my website with all the liberal tears, okay? I really do. So, without further ado, we're going to react to this woke MSNBC panel featuring a rhino, like quite literally a real rhino, okay? A Republican in name only, an NFL linebacker, and some random black person, right? And 2 other people who are irrelevant, right? And you can guess who I'm talking about. I'm going to let you guys guess what I'm talking about. So I want to react to it because, again, this is just hilarious, okay? So without further ado, let's get into it.
As many of us were glued to the New York criminal trial, Trump quietly scored victories in 2 other legal battles just this past week. The judge overseeing his classified documents case postponed that trial indefinitely. And an appeals court in Georgia has actually considered removing Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis from her election interference case following a request from Trump.
I think the Fani Willis thing is the most hilarious to me, okay? Because she is going into an election, right, where she's trying to get reelected. And instead of having Trump on trial and convicted, which I think, in Fulton County, deep blue, okay, a lot of black people out there, a lot of Trump deranged individuals, that probably would have propelled her to being reelected and maybe even a higher political office, right? She probably would have tried to run for governor at that point. She would have became the replacement for Stacey Abrams, who has failed to get elected out there in Georgia, okay, because she's not very likable. But that would have been her career path. But now she is the one that is kind of on trial here. And again, it looks like she could be removed. Now, I don't think she actually will be, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because, one, due to all of these allegations against her, it seems as if her chances of being reelected, still probably pretty decent because, again, look at where she's at. It's not like these individuals really think that much when it comes to who they vote into office. All you have to do is say the white man is racist, okay, and everybody's attacking me because I'm a black woman. That's probably enough for her to get reelected. But regardless, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for her, right? It's not going to be a cakewalk, okay? That's the point. And she's opened herself up to a bunch of different investigations that, again, could have her removed. If Republicans actually had some cojones down there. So again, I'm just saying, regardless of whether or not she gets removed from this case, her career, her reputation has been damaged. It's going to be a lot harder for her to seek higher office and to advance her career, considering how, basically there's good reason to believe that she lied under oath, which again, we could have that proven at some point here in the future. Also on top of that, the trial is not going to happen before the election. And if Trump is elected president, which, again, it looks like it's a good chance that could happen at this point, then he's definitely not going to go to jail, right? Even if he's found guilty during a trial, he's just not going to go to jail because there's no way that a sitting president is going to be serving time in some local, dirty jail or prison in some state. Like, it's just not going to happen, okay? Federal supremacy would take over at that point. It ain't going to happen, right? So, again, this one is the most hilarious one to me, right? Because they really were relying on this woman, right? Black women to save this country, and it turns out that it failed.
Both developments play straight into the former president's strategy of delay, delay, delay. Joining us now, Justice and Legal Affairs analyst Anthony Coley. He's the former director of the Office of Public Affairs and former senior advisor to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland. Andrew Weissman is back with us.
So it's not just me on this whole thing with Judge Aileen Cannon. You have Senator Richard Blumenthal, saying this about the ability of Judge Cannon, her abilities and what she's doing. Let's take a listen. Okay.
There are increasing, well-justified doubts about the ability and the experience that this judge should have to deal with this kind of challenging case and the kind of aberrant and seemingly erratic decisions made by this judge, I think, raise serious questions about whether she should be sitting on a case that is not only high profile, but also highly challenging in terms of the legal, logistical, and other issues that are raised.
Anthony, at the end of the day, and I want to be very careful because, we have immense respect for our jurists and the judges and the trials and the process. But there is such a thing as qualification and capability, right, given the immense importance of a case. And we know the rotation system in Florida just happened to land on her. I guess this is a two-parter. Why didn't, the U.S. government, the DOJ, say, you know what, this trial is too important to put in the hands of an inexperienced judge? One. And two, when they didn't do that, but then saw the wheels coming off this, because we all saw where this was going with the delay, that they didn't step in and change up.
The curious case of Eileen George. When people say that the fight is fixed, this is the type of stuff that they're talking about. You have a woman here who, Michael, she intentionally appears to be dragging her feet, and she's proving herself to appear, in my opinion, She's proven to be a MAGA activist in a black robe who's giving Trump exactly what he wants, and that is unintentional delay. And some people will say, you know what, she's an inexperienced judge, that she is up in this satellite facility up in Palm Beach County, that she's dealing with classified documents, and that requires special handling. And all of that may be accurate, but at the end of the day, like, she is ignoring settled law. She doesn't appear to have an appreciation for the rules of criminal procedure. And I'll give you an example, Michael. Next month, she is holding a day-long hearing to determine whether or not Jack Smith, the special counsel in this case, has been constitutionally appointed. And as Andrew Weissman knows, that case is already, that's an argument has already been decided, right? And so, I mean, she's a MAGA activist. She has a MAGA slip underneath this black robe, and her slip is showing. That's what's really happening.
Andrew Weissman.
Wow. This is hilarious for multiple reasons, okay? Because essentially they're accusing a judge of, again, being a MAGA activist, aka she's trying to rig the outcome of this trial, of this case. This is what they're saying. And they're also basically accusing her of being not qualified, right? She's not qualified. And I find that accusation to be very, very, very fascinating because she's a woman, more specifically a so-called woman of color, okay? She is an immigrant from Colombia, right? She was born in Cali, Colombia, and you have MSNBC and the Democrats calling an immigrant woman of color basically a DEI hire, right? An affirmative action judge, saying that she's not really qualified. Now, again, if a conservative or Republican was to make this same argument about a liberal judge who happens to be a black woman, right? Even though, you know, in the cases of the Biden administration and his appointment of Ketanji Brown Jackson, he said, well, I'm appointing her because she is a black woman, right? Now, when Trump appointed Aileen Cannon, I don't think that he cited her being a Latino woman, right, as a part of the reason why she was appointed to that job, right? But regardless of that, right, if a conservative was to come out and say the same things about a black woman judge that these people are saying about a Latino woman immigrant judge, what do you think these people will be saying? They will be boohoo, whining, and crying racism, sexism, xenophobia. What do you mean an immigrant woman of color isn't qualified? You must be a bigot. But when it comes to conservative women, though, conservative judges, when things aren't going their way because this woman is essentially doing her due diligence. This is what they're really upset about. They're upset about her doing her due diligence, right? Dotting her I's, crossing her T's, okay, making sure that this case is properly handled before going to trial. I mean, you also have Jack Smith allegedly planting evidence, right? So again, considering all of the motions that the Trump team is putting forward in his defense, again, we're dealing with the former president of the United States here, okay? So you got to make sure everything is right. You have to make sure you consider all possible defenses, okay? I think that that's just right. This is the president of the United States, okay? Oh, well, again, that means that she's inexperienced, right? She's a MAGA activist in a robe. Again, it's fascinating how that worked because this woman was rated as qualified by the American Bar Association. She also was confirmed by the Senate Judiciary Committee, confirmed, again, by the Senate, right? Confirmed by Congress. But yet now all of a sudden she's unqualified. They're saying these things that they told us that you're not supposed to say about so-called women of color and immigrants, but they're saying it about, again, a conservative judge, a woman, because she doesn't agree with them, right? Because she's not doing a rush job here, because she's not trying to do their bidding and to have this trial proceed before the election so that Trump can be convicted and they can rig the outcome of it, right? That's what they want. She hasn't dismissed the trial altogether. That's not what she's done. And I don't think that's going to happen. But for them, no. You have to do a rush job so that we can get this man convicted before the election, or else you're unqualified, right? They're basically calling her affirmative action. They're calling her DEI, but in liberal speak, right? In liberal speak. So again, it's acceptable when they do it, but it's unacceptable when people on the right do it. Again, it's fascinating how that works. Also on top of that, it's so funny how, again, they want to accuse this woman of being a political activist, but they don't have anything to say about Judge Merchant, whose whole family is basically Democrat political activists. I mean, you have Democrats that were working for the Biden DOJ, working on behalf of the prosecution. But you don't think that that case is politically motivated in any way, or that is rigged against Trump? Again, it's amazing how that works, because outside of Trump appointing Aileen Cannon to that position, what other reason would you think that is rigged outside of, well, Trump appointed her? They don't have any other reasons except they're not getting their way, right? That's it. But again, it's just hilarious how that works. These people are actively arguing to undermine the system because they didn't get the judge that they wanted. Again, it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So let's fast forward here, because I don't want this video to be too long, to them boohoo whining and crying about Fani Willis.
That's exactly right. Fani Willis, you remember when Fani Willis took the stand and she said, I'm not on trial, no matter how much you all are trying to put me on trial, right? They're still trying to put her on trial for a relationship that started and ended, mind you, before a grand jury indicted any of these defendants. And so there is zero financial relationship. It has nothing to do with the underlying case. But I will bring it back. One thing that the Trump team has really been scared of this case, Simone. And that's because at its core, the evidence is not just overwhelming. You remember Donald Trump was caught on audio trying to pressure the Republican Secretary of State to find votes here. But it's not just the evidence. It is that this Georgia law provides for a level of transparency that we are not seeing in other cases. This case would have been televised, a la O.J. Simpson. And it would have been televised if it had been scheduled, even while people were early voting in September and October. So they have always been afraid of this case because of the sunlight of transparency. And Alicia, you were right. They, in framing this segment, or Michael, you were right when framing this segment, because he did catch a break this week in both of these cases.
Both of the cases.
Well, again, so it's just so funny how this guy just completely relieves Fani Willis of any type of responsibility or accountability for the fact that she put herself in this situation, right? She did not have to hire Nathan Wade, right? She didn't have to do it. Why in the world would you hire your boyfriend to prosecute the former president of the United States and then pay him more than you would pay anybody else, go on extravagant trips with him on taxpayer dime, right? Why would you engage in that type of behavior that would even bring up the question of whether or not there's a conflict of interest with such a high profile case? Why would you do that? It's just a really stupid thing to do. Regardless of whether or not you think that it has anything to do with the case, which it most certainly does, in my opinion. I definitely think that she was financially benefiting. I think there's definitely a conflict, and I think that she should be removed. But again, regardless of whether or not you agree or disagree with that, at the very least, it's a stupid thing to do. I mean, Trump would not have this defense had she not did that. But again, just leave it to these simps on MSNBC to completely just not even consider that at all, right? In regards to why this case is not moving forward. It's 100% her fault. And they want to pretend like, oh, well, it's just Trump, right? Trump is just, he's just catching a break and Trump is just gaming the system. No, this is self-inflicted. Because if Fani Willis's relationship with Nathan Wade was a nothing burger, right? If there were not legitimate questions about the conflict, then Nathan Wade, one, would still be on the case. He's not, because there are legitimate questions, right? She probably lied on the oath. Okay, I'm certain she lied on the oath about the start of that relationship and when it began. Okay, it beginning before all this is even more evidence and proof that there's a conflict, contrary to what this guy is saying. And also on top of that, the appeals court didn't have to hear this, right? So the Georgia appeals court could have said, nah, we're not going to hear it. The judge, McAfee, who was too cowardly to have Fani Willis outright removed, he could have denied the possibility for an appeal. So again, this could have been shot down at multiple levels, but it hasn't been because, again, there are legitimate questions about whether or not Fani Willis is qualified to still be on this case. It is what it is, and it's 100% her fault. Had she not had that relationship, had she not made the bad decision to put her boyfriend on this case to go after her political opponent, the trial will probably be happening as we speak. That's the funny part about it. But because they don't want to hold people like her accountable, they don't want to criticize her when it's time for her to actually be criticized. She don't think she did anything wrong, right? And stuff like this, again, this is why all of it is falling apart. No, you can't criticize a black woman. You can't say, hey, Fani, you probably should remove yourself so that this case can go forward. Again, that's another part of it. If she literally just said, you know what, I'm going to step down and let my office handle it, right? I'm going to remove myself, recuse myself. That would fast forward the case. That would actually make it more likely for the case to happen before the election. But the fact is that Fani Willis is refusing to step down because of her ego, right? If it wasn't for her ego, the case might be able to move forward faster because you don't have to go through these appeal processes because she's removed herself. But because she won't remove herself, she's basically guaranteed that the case is not going to happen before the election. Again, this is hilarious.
Cases, and I would also note that in Georgia, people have actually pleaded out. Like, let's just be very clear. The Georgia case, we only have a mugshot of Donald Trump because Fani Willis and the sheriff in Fulton County said, Donald Trump, I don't care that he is a former president. He is going to get a mugshot just like everybody else. Right. We only have the only people that have pleaded out in any of the cases before us, any of the indicted cases, is in fact the folks in Georgia. Fani Willis is the only person that has gotten people who were with Donald Trump to flip on him before they went to jail. I'm talking about Michael Cohen. Now, I like Michael Cohen, but he did come around after he was being held accountable.
Now, here's the thing what she's saying about the people flipping. First and foremost, they haven't really flipped yet because they haven't, took the stand to actually flip on Trump or to say anything. Second of all, those are not real convictions, okay? In the sense that her case is so weak that she's basically letting those people off scotch-free for the opportunity that they might say something that can incriminate Trump at trial, right? But it's not guaranteed that they're going to do that. In fact, the lawyer for Michael Cheeseborough came out and said, yeah, I'm not necessarily sure if my guy is going to provide Fani Willis with any type of valuable testimony against Trump. In fact, I would bet against it, that he's not going to be useful to the state. But again, she's essentially giving them out, right? In the sense that after 5 or 6 years, it's going to be as if they didn't commit any crime at all, right? These aren't real convictions. She doesn't have anything. Her case is weak, just like all the other cases. That's the crazy part. They're trying to pretend like her case is so strong. But the only thing about her case is the fact that it would have been televised. And that's what they really wanted. But again, the reason why it's not happening is because of her. It's because of her. But see, instead of placing the blame on her, right, they're not going to because she's a black woman, right? No criticism for her, right?
So for the people that are watching this at home and they are saying, Michael Steele is right. Donald Trump has been able to game the system. And now the only case that the American people are going to see adjudicated before them, and they're going to have to read about it because we can't watch it, is this case, the 2016 election interference case in about falsified documents and the cover-up in Manhattan. And we don't know what the jury is going to do on that. We don't know if they're going to go so far and say, yes, he was trying to cover it up and he did these bad things. They may not get to all of those things. They may not come down on that. So it's very disconcerting because we witnessed all of these things. We saw him do it. We saw him hold the documents. We saw him. We heard him on the tape.
But there is hope, though.
Where?
At the end of the day, I mean, this is we the people.
Man.
We are going to have to step up and vote in historic numbers, Simone. We did it in 2020, but this man has never gotten more than 47% of the vote. Now, it's going to be a close election. It always is, right? Yeah. But for 44,000 votes in 3 states, Donald Trump would be president right now. So we can't be comfortable. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the people. to do what we do in democracy, and that's to go to the polls in historic numbers.
Yeah, but see, again, Democrats hate democracy, right? This is why Simone Sanders is having a meltdown, right? Because she don't really believe in democracy, right? That was the whole point. That was the whole point of these political persecutions, to get Trump convicted before the election, which was to undermine democracy, right? It's just so funny. This is why these meltdowns are so hilarious to me, because these people are revealing who they are, right? And what the intentions were from the get-go, right? It wasn't about justice or any of that stuff that they talk about. No, it actually really was about trying to keep Trump from getting elected. And it's just so funny because everything they've tried has fallen apart. They tried to take him off the ballots, okay? In some of these liberal states, these deranged secretaries, they tried to take the man off the ballot. Supreme Court shot it down. They're trying to get him with these political persecutions. All of them, except the one that nobody cares about, fall apart. And even that one, again, it's a good chance Trump will be found not guilty. And you know, because Simone Sanders was like, I don't really know if he's going to get a conviction on that one, right? Because, again, Stormy is blowing it. Again, the tears, I just can't get enough of them. I really can't. I love it. Everything that's happening to the Democrat Party right now is the pendulum swinging the other way, and they deserve every bit of what is happening to them right now. They really do. They really do. The only thing left really is for Trump to win, right? Once Trump actually wins, these people are going to lose their mind thinking about all the things that happened in the year leading up to Trump being reelected and how they thought they had it in the bag, right? Just a year ago, they thought they had it in the bag. Okay, Trump's going to be convicted. He's going to be thrown in jail. He might be pulled off the ballot, right? All these things were on the table just a year ago. Now, all of a sudden, a lot of these things are not on the table, and it looks like Trump is going to win, right, when it comes to the polls. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share it. Black Conservative Perspective. Peace.